I'm very excited for today's episode. I have a very special guest that I've been really anticipating on having, a NFL legend, two-time All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler, one of the most dominating and fearsome rushers in the NFL, who's recently made a move into the MMA promotion with having founded the fastest-growing MMA promotion in California. Someone I look up to for their hands-on dedication and something I really believe in, Lights Out Xtreme Fighting. Without further ado, I have Mr. Lights Out himself, Shawne Merriman.
What's up, my man?
How's it going, man?
Good, just cranking away.
I saw you were at the Chargers preseason game.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was it was cool, man. And I'll tell you why, because I didn't play in SoFi, so it was my first time. I go to every home game, but I haven't come out of the tunnel. So that's a different breed, coming out of that tunnel with that in that stadium. But I think, man, just it's exciting time for them.
Yeah.
In general, you get what I'm saying. So to still be involved with the organization as I am, still supporting the team and working with them a lot. Has just been cool, man, because then you become like the old guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the vet.
Yeah, the OG.
That everybody look at is like, oh, okay, a lot of those guys is playing now, like, used to watch me when they were in high school or younger. You get what I'm saying? So that's really cool to be around them.
Do you get that a lot when you're there?
Yeah. Yeah, and then, so you got these guys who, they're big name athletes themselves. So, like, sometimes they don't want to tell you, like, hey, you were my favorite player. You know what I mean? Like, but I always find that, man, like, for me, it's humbling and it's super cool because we all had a favorite player. Mm-hmm. We all had somebody that we aspired to be like, because we at least emulated part of the game from them, so when I hear some of those guys like, man, I wore 56 in high school because of you, I'm like, that's dope, man, because now they are a star in their own right in the NFL. Yeah,
they're making their own way. How does it feel to be a mentor to some of those guys?
It's cool. I think the funnest part about being a mentor is you can talk from experience. Like when I was younger, it was hard for me to have these conversations with guys that didn't go through where I went through or come from where I come from or haven't been in a situation. And so when you can talk because you have so much experience across the board and a lot of this stuff, you can actually be like, hey, when this happened to me. So, so then you can talk to them, they start listening. So whenever somebody can make those like correlations between the two, they really, really start listening. And then when the even better part is when they actually listen and use it.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are listening, and they go and still do their own thing. But when you talk to some of these guys about, hey, what'll make you a better player, right? What do you need to do? How do you need to eat? How many times you need to work out? How you should be watching film? And they go and do it, and they have success with it. That's when the gratification come in at.
Who have you been a big help to on the team? Any specific players you're really close with?
I'm close to a lot of guys, man. I remember now, like Denzel Perryman, who's back with the team.
Yeah.
Who was with the Raiders, then the Texans, and he's back. But I remember when he was first coming in. I think he's, year 10 now?
Yeah.
He was coming in on my way out. And so to see him now, like he's the vet in the locker room. And so to get a chance to, I remember he was having like camp body early on. When you're younger and you're coming from college, it's nothing like a NFL season because it's double of the length as a college season.
Yeah.
So like when your college season over, you're still like smack dead in the middle of an NFL season.
Oh, wow.
So your body start hitting the wall. And I remember he called me one time and he's like, man, I'm crashing. My body, long season, emotionally, mentally draining. And so to be able to talk him through that now, see him now 10 years in, has just been really dope.
Well, that's a sick part. I mean, that's how I aspire to be, especially with mentorship. But I wanted to congratulate you, man, on Vizio, Lights Out Sports on Vizio.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, man, we just got Vizio up, I think last week. And, with Lights Out Sports TV, we've been launched about 70 days now fully. And I think we have every major smart TV platform in the world. Yeah. Right. So we're on Vizio, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire.
It's the fastest growing.
Yeah, man. To say that is kind of crazy because it is a crowded space. But to have not only like the content is only like we have 26 channels.
Yeah.
250 sports movies and documentaries up. We're going to announce some big live sports partnerships. We're going to have probably before the year's out, I would say at least 20 live sports.
I'm excited.
And also too, being in the combat sports space, I want to give these up and coming like regional leagues to have an opportunity to be on TV, to have a streaming platform because I know how that works. Like you need TV in order to have sponsorship.
Agreed.
If you don't have a TV partner, then it's hard to go get the sponsorship, hard to promote and get your name out there. So I've never been I don't look at anybody as competition. Like we're going to win on our own. But man, if I can help some of these up and coming regional and sometimes even local leagues have a TV platform and streaming partners, we're here for it.
Well, you're so innovative. You're so smart, especially with running just not only your promotion yourself, but to creating your own streaming service and running it. And I mean, I personally used it before. It's so user friendly.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
It's so easy to use, and you don't have to create an account and do all this subscription and stuff. It's so easy. I just watch and I go and watch all the recent Lights Out and practice my commentary and my broadcasting, and I love watching it. I mean, the shows you put on are absolutely incredible. But what is the start of the development of Lights Out Sports?
So when I retired, I went straight to NFL Network for a couple of years. Helped them. I was a part of that Good Morning Football show that actually we shot this morning. So I was at the start of that show and was there a couple of years. Fox Sports a couple of years, ESPN a couple of years, WWE Network. I was there at the launch of that where I hosted WrestleManias and Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns, which was just insane because I'm still a fan no matter what. I know all the guys. I know Vince McMahon and Paul and Triple H and them, but it's different when you're in an environment. When you're up there sitting around with Booker T to my right, Shawn Michaels on my left, and Mankind comes and sit down. Like, it's unreal, right? You're still a fan in a way. And so being at the launch of all these networks and stuff like that, knowledge and relationships I have in the TV and streaming space, I started to build like the ultimate, as LeBron said, the Avengers, right? You started getting all these really, really experienced people, like, because there's certain things I'm just not going to know because they've been doing it a lot longer than I have, but I can put together a team to put us in a position to be the best and biggest all sports free ad supported platform in the world. And that's what we aim to be. And we're on our way. I would say, next 12 months, we're going to make a lot of noise in the streaming space.
No, I agree. I mean, already what you're doing within 70 days, nobody's competing with this. It's genuinely the fastest growing app and software and streaming service in the world. Like, in my opinion, I really see the visionary with what do you want to do? Where do you see the app in the next 5 years?
One for me is fan engagement and innovation. To me, like fans, being an athlete, you understand the value of fans and them paying money to come to a game. The cassette, you're spending $100 for hot dogs and popcorn, the parking. And so all this happens because of the fans. So I always wanted to keep the fans first in whatever I built. And that's the fan interaction and engagement, one. And two, just being innovative. Because we are smaller, I can maneuver and try some things out that most people can't because they're too big to do it. Maybe they're a public company and they can't do it because they got shareholders. Maybe they got investors that won't let them do it, but I own 100% of everything I build. And so I can make those decisions without having to go through a brick wall to get something approved, especially when the idea and the creation is coming from me. And I'm always open to ideas, like even when you first came on, man, I looked at your reels and stuff like, man, we got to have them there. And to evaluate talent and, have Troop and Effie and Eduardo and Bonnie Jill, I have a good group of people that I brought in because the people is what make this whole thing go. I just have to keep the engine running by keep it going. But it's really the people who's been involved in what I've built. This is the reason why it's so big.
Well, that's another thing I noticed about you is your networking skills. I mean, a lot of people who come from being a professional athlete dedicate their lives to the physical aspect. But you, on the other hand, you're very intelligent. You're business savvy. You're business educated from not only personal experience, but from learning. What took you from getting into this path of like entrepreneurship and that business mindset? Have you always been that way?
Yeah. Actually, so I was my nickname was given to me at 16 years old when I earned in the game Lights Out. When I was in college, I don't know if you guys might be too young, but when 50 Cent and G-Unit first came out with their tank tops, they had these G-Unit tank tops a long time ago. You guys got to look up. You're going to laugh your ass off. They had these tank tops, and what I did was I started to put Lights Out on these tank tops, these blank tank tops. And so I had the mindset to go and do it already. I got drafted by the Chargers, and I got my first bit of money.
Yeah.
And so that's when I went to go buy the naming rights for Lights Out. Trademarks, IP, copyrighted, everything. So I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to do it yet. So I had to educate myself on licensing, branding, marketing, and what I wanted to build from that. So like I said, I don't do anything unless I sit down with somebody that's more experienced than me. And I got a great group of people I know in the industry that are worth hundreds of millions up to billions of dollars, where I can sit down and say, hey, I want to do this. What do you think about this? And I take people's time very seriously, you know. So like when I notice somebody's busy as hell and they're willing to give me 30 minutes to an hour, I appreciate that more than anything, because that 30 minutes to an hour is either going to help me make some millions or keep me from losing it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I take people's time that I've been given over these last, decade and a half to grow.
Who has been a big mentorship in your growth in business?
I'd say so somebody who really took me under their wing early on was Donald Trump. Trump had, I don't care about, I don't get political and all that. People, you can vote for whoever you want to. But for me, it was somebody who took me under his wing. And when we first met after my rookie year, he saw something in me that was bigger than an athlete, is what he told me. And I'll never forget, he wrote his number down on a piece. He asked me to write my number down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, it's Donald Trump. You know?
Yeah, he ain't gonna call me.
Call me. What a bullshit, right? And he did. He one day, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later after we met, my phone rang and it was from a 516 area code down in Mar-a-Lago. I answered and I said, hello. So I said, who's this? I said, Donald. Like, Donald who?
Yeah, you're not expecting that.
Hell no. I said, Donald who? I said, Trump. I'm like, look, whoever's playing on my phone, man, need to stop. Because I'm thinking that somebody saw us meet, so they're playing on my phone now. And no, he said, what we talked about when we met, and he asked me, could I come out to the Trump Towers? At that point, I started to come out there and spend time with him. This is when he was shooting Apprentice.
Oh, wow.
And so I would come out there, and we would sit and talk for hours sometimes, just me and him. And he realized, like I said, it was something there that I had bigger than just being an athlete. So what he would do is let me sit down with everybody in his whole company. So if I wanted to learn licensing, he'll send a memo out to everybody and said, hey, when Shawne comes in here, make sure he's taken care of. That's who he, what he did for me. He didn't have to do that, right?
Not at all.
So I learned real estate, I learned licensing, I learned branding, I learned marketing, a lot of stuff because I was around him initially. And then that curiosity just kept growing for me because I knew there was a whole lot more I needed and wanted to learn. So I started to link up with very successful people in the apparel industry. So I learned it. Now I took the Lights Out name and trademark, and I started making clothes, and I was selling in probably about 190 stores in the country.
Oh, wow.
Selling Lights Out gear. So again, it's the curiosity that was there, is wanting to learn and then execute, man. That's what I think my biggest, somebody say, what's this kind of the difference or separated when I'm doing, like, I execute and I'm very efficient.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll go after something, I'll set it, and I'll just go do it, and I'll get it done no matter at all costs. I'll just get it done. So a lot of people are not like that, and that's what I find myself to be, very good at.
Did you find that out about yourself through the physical aspect of, I'm going to go get it done? Because obviously being a professional superstar in the NFL, there's physical aspects and a mental endurance of, I have to get this done. Job's not finished. Kind of the Kobe mindset. Because I love Kobe. I love his mindset. He's one of the greatest. I heard you had a phone call and an interaction for Kobe. You mind telling that story?
Yeah. Again, I was fortunate to have the Kobe Bryants and all these people to give me their time. And 2009, I had a big, I came off my knee injury, and then I had Achilles that was partially torn, but it wasn't torn yet. But it was in the media how bad I was banged up and how I was playing on a bum knee, playing on a bum Achilles. And one day I get a call out the blue, and it's Kobe Bryant.
Oh, shit.
And I think that he knew my agent. I was with CAA at the time, and I think he knew somebody there or whatever, got my number. I still to this day never knew how he got my number.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, it's just Kobe. And I was like, Kobe who? Like, Kobe who?
Yeah.
And he's like, Kobe Bryant. I said, oh, shit, this is my favorite player. So I'm like looking at my phone. I can't believe Kobe's on the other line. He said, look, and he knew everything about my career, stats, like follow my career since college. And he said, I see you banged up. You got Achilles injury. I want you to go see my doctors, my stem cell doctors in Germany.
Oh.
So Kobe could have told me to go to Africa. He could have told me to go to eat. I was going. Kobe Bryant called you and say, hey, this is going to help you be a better player, get you back healthy. I'm going. So I started to go see his docs in Germany, and we kept in contact, since then. And we would always kind of meet up and talk at the ESPYs. I would talk to him once, twice a year in person, and we kept in contact over text.
Man, Kobe is such a beautiful person.
He is.
He's an awesome, great. But I wanted to spin back to that Donald. I don't want to get too far into it, but I want to know how you feel about the recent public assassination attempt, because I feel like it kind of just got pushed away really quick, which I believe is very unfair, especially for somebody who's trying to do something great for the people, regardless of what you believe in, where you come from, what you do. He just wants us to unite as people and become like a family.
Yeah, I took I never really when he ran the first time in 2016, I was leaving a charity event with Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. Actually, we were all together. Yeah. It was a police officer who got wounded on a job, and it was a charity function to raise money for the police officer who got injured. And I was walking out, and TMZ had grabbed me, and they had heard about our relationship. They didn't know how close we were with Donald Trump, and they basically just asked me who I thought was going to win. I was like, Donald Trump's going to win. This one's running against Hillary Clinton, and which I just thought he was a better candidate. I thought he was going to win. It wasn't an actual like stamp of support. Hey, everybody vote for Trump. But when it came out, it did, and it spread like wildfire. It was everywhere, and I got a lot of flack for that. A lot of people came back, and so I never really had a problem with anybody what they vote for. I still don't. I'm still that way. Yeah, I think that's what we get a lot. We're getting the disruption and the division is going on right now because of the extreme of you telling somebody who to vote for. You're going to treat somebody a certain way because of who they vote for. Like, you vote for whoever you want to. That's your prerogative. That you have that right living in this country. So I'm still that way. But when I saw the assassination attempt, it kind of turned me a different way. And it wasn't that happened. It was a reaction from what happened. Yeah. And like you said, how fast it went away. I saw some people I used to follow, and I used to either be closely friends with or acquaintances, or I admired them because of who they were in the world, like celebrity growing up. They was like my favorite whoever. And I saw them making comments about that they pissed off that the guy missed.
Yeah, it's
and
disgusting.
I saw that kind of stuff. And once you get to that point, we're not talking politics anymore. You're just a bad person. Yeah. And so I blocked those people. I unfollowed them. I seen a couple people in person after that say, "Oh, you unfollow me?" I said, "Yeah, because you're on that bullshit." We're not wishing death. We're not wishing harm to nobody. I don't care what your views are. And if you're telling me that you're wishing harm on a human being because you don't like his political views, stay the hell away from me. And so that's when I took this stance of like, okay, now it's different. Now I've been very vocal about the corruption. I've been very vocal about some of this other bullshit that's going on. Just the fact that I saw evilness come out of it. Because whenever you wish harm on anybody, that's evil. That's not politics. And so, I kind of drew the line, and I've taken kind of took a stance. But still, I don't talk politics on social media. I don't talk religion. I don't talk family, because in my opinion, especially nowadays where anybody can say anything they want behind a computer screen or a phone, it's not worth your time to get involved in some people that just have hatred anyway. Right. And so I started seeing like this divide, this hatred that I don't want to get mixed up in, because I'm going to say whatever I want to say. Yeah, agree. Stand behind it. So I'm going to stand behind whatever I stand behind, but you're wasting time with people that just have hate no matter what. So I just stay out of it. Yeah. But yeah, it's just I have kind of took more of a stance when it came to that.
Which is very respectful and very honorable about you. Shows the type of character you are. I would even agree too. I mean, I don't understand people. I've lost friendships over politics, which I think is crazy. If you don't want to be friends with somebody because of their political beliefs, that is so insane to me. I don't care whether you're left, right, in the middle, in between. I love you for a person. I care about you. Yeah. But if you are going to make threats and say, oh, anything super negative or super harmful, I don't want to be friends with you anyways. I don't need you in my life. I don't need that type of person in my life. But I wanted to go back to your early childhood, bringing up in the 90s. Yeah. I mean, I know that's pretty hard, especially in the area you grew up, and it's kind of like an American story where you made it all the way through. Run me through your childhood. What was that like growing up?
Yeah, we I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is really close to Washington, D.C. In fact, like 2 or 3 neighborhoods down from where I grew up at was on the murder capital list 5 years straight. The neighborhood, the area, 5 years straight was on the murder capital, top 5 in the country. And so, just growing up in that environment, you start to see things a lot at an early age, whether you want to or not. You just you're there, so you see it. But I always say that kind of sports saved my life because I had an outlet. A lot of the kids I grew up with, who didn't play sports, they didn't have an outlet, so they fell into the traps of getting involved in the surroundings, which is unfortunate because I played with some guys that were better than me growing up, and they got in trouble with the law. They got involved in the wrong things, got killed, jail, something. And so when you see that, I started being more thankful that I was involved in sports, basketball, football, year round. That really kept me away from that. And because of the circumstances we lived in, like we were homeless multiple times. Where, like I said, now, like I look at it now, and I hate kind of the rags to riches story because it's told so much. But also too, the reason why I feel comfortable talking about certain things now is because people need to know.
Yeah.
Even everybody I work with now is like, you have to understand how I got here. And so, like, if I hire somebody, if I'm working with people, and whether it's Lights Out Xtreme Fighting or Lights Out Sports, whatever it is, they need to know why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I butt heads with people that don't want to work hard because I take offense to, I got here by just knuckling up, rolling up my sleeves, and had to fight through a lot of bullshit in order to get to where I'm at. And I'm still fighting just in a different way. Yeah. And so I butt heads with people that aren't passionate and don't love what they're doing. And so anyway, I was, I was number one player coming out of DC, Maryland, Virginia area. What they call all metropolitan, right? The number one player, which is, we had like 5 first rounders to come out within that couple of year period from my area. And I went to Maryland.
Earthquake?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, yeah.
That's another reason why I moved to Vegas.
Shit, man. Get me out of here, Shawne. I'm going with you. You guys good?
Yeah, we're
good. We're good. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, we're good. Look.
I thought you coughed.
No, let me get my ass back to Vegas.
Yeah, man, take me with you, brother.
And I was number one player coming out of high school in my area. Went to University of Maryland because I grew up 20 minutes from the school, from Maryland. But I had offers from everywhere, man. I had offers from anywhere you can name. I had an offer from.
Yeah,
and I wanted to stay home. And the reason why I stayed home to go to Maryland is because there was nobody of my caliber that came out. Number one, they always went to Penn State or Alabama, Florida State, another bigger Florida. Mm-hmm. They all left. And I was like, nah, I'm going to be the first one to actually stay home.
Yeah.
That's, number one pick coming out. Want to set an example. My coaches, anybody, so they can see me. It's different, man. When I was growing up, we didn't have any NFL players. Nobody came back. It was, nobody. And so I wanted to be the first one to go and set an example. And I was the highest drafted pick coming out of Maryland ever at that time. And then after, Vernon Davis came. Yeah. Then God, it was like every year they had the first round.
Yeah, you set a wildfire.
Yeah, you set a wildfire where people start noticing Maryland and put us on the map when it came to that. And then get drafted 2005 by the Chargers, 12th pick overall. And so, my path of getting there, man, was strictly just work, just hard work, being dedicated, man, and just going further and pushing myself farther than anybody else.
Was there ever like a fear in the motivation when you would be so locked in with what you're doing? Was there ever a thought like, I'm doing this because I never want to go back to that?
It was that. And then also I dealt with adversity a lot better than most because I already dealt with it.
Yeah.
So I tell people now, like, if their car don't start or something small, like it's a bad day for them. I'm like, nah, you don't know a bad day.
Yeah, you don't.
When you come home and that eviction notice on the door and they give you 30 days and the sheriff show up in the 29th day, they try to get you out of there. You're on, food stamps, so they didn't come this month because the government didn't qualify you for something. It's like those are bad days.
Yeah.
And so I look at bad days a lot different than most people because of what I've been through. And at the time, you don't think of that because you're like, why I got to do? Like, why these kids over there, they can go to school and they got, they can pay for lunch.
Yeah.
They got, nice car. Like our car was so bad growing up that me and my sister, we used to have to slide down in the back seat because it was so loud. It was so messed up.
Yeah.
So when the other kids laughing at us, so we used to lean our seat all the way back so people couldn't see us drive in the neighborhood. So I think when you have those times, it just create a different level of skin. And that's why I'm able to deal with so much now. I mean, I can... The sky could be falling, and everybody else around me is panicking like hell, and I'm like, all right, let's do this, right? And my level of dealing with adversity has just changed because of what I've already been through.
Yeah, that's why I have so much respect for you, especially in your leadership role. I mean, seeing you work at Lights Out and all these other various places, you truly are very hands-on with what you do. And a lot of people in your position might just stamp their face to something and have operations running. But no, seriously, you are behind the scenes running it first and last out. Like, it's true. I've seen it hands-on. And it's really respectful to see somebody so not only knowledgeable but experienced do so much. I mean, I kind of really do look at you as a Dana White, for example, because he's publicly known as being a first and last out guy, and it shows you. Do you have a connection with Dana White?
Yeah, and that's one thing. It's so funny. We talk a lot more now than we met years ago. But we talk a lot now, and there's a lot of I've never told him this, but when he says or does certain things, he goes about things. There's a lot of similarities, and I'm sitting back and like, that's some shit I would do.
Yeah.
And so, but I admire the hell out of Dana, and then even now, like if I text him right now, he'll probably text back in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I'm the same way. So I can't I can't comprehend certain people that taking all day to respond to something. I don't care how busy you are. Even if you are busy, like, hey, I'm busy right now, let me hit you later. You're going to hear a response. That's him. That's how I am. And so, and this is at a level where, I'll go see him. I think it was a couple months ago. We had a meeting set up at the office. I went by the complex. The
PI?
Yeah, the PI.
Oh, sweet.
Which I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think that the PI was very much anything I've seen on NFL level, if not better in some aspects.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And another thing I'll get to, like how I relate to him, but when the meeting ran late and he had somebody come down and take me to a certain part of the building that I haven't seen yet or whatever, but he's still grinding and he's still busy as hell. He's still like power slap is like always the next thing and go bigger. And he doesn't need it. He got the money. He made plenty of money. He can start right now and go chill.
No, 100%.
But I think that the want to keep going and growing bigger and going, like that's not anything dealing with money. That's a mentality that you have. And that's what that's why I appreciate and really he's inspired me in that kind of way. And also too, he like Dana don't give a damn. Like so he had this podcast with Sage Steele some months ago, and I got tagged all over this thing, and he had brought my name up to Sage Steele about some of the people who wanted to work with it come across, and mainly the topic of the conversation was like how he don't give a shit about what anybody say or what they do, none of that. And was in his office, and I was looking at the PI, and then they had these top level, machines in there for MRI looking stuff, ice cold tubs, training facility. If you need it, it's in there, and this is free to the fighters, and also the food and meals and all that stuff. And so after we got done meeting, I said, Dana, I got a question, man. Like seriously, I said, why don't you talk about none of this shit? I said, why do you, so everybody talking about, fighters not getting paid and how they getting treated and all. I said, why don't you bring this up? Because me being a former athlete, like that is important to me that the guys are taken care of.
Yeah.
That they got ability to go get an ice cold tub. They got ability to see a masseuse or therapist or whatever they have in all those, the facility. He said, and this is one thing I'll never forget. He looked at me, he said, Shawne, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that sounds like Dana.
But the truth is, he don't. And not even in a negative way. It's just like none of the outside shit matters.
Yeah, it's just white
People
noise.
Gonna just white noise. People gonna talk no matter what. People gonna say what they want. And he just doesn't care. He's gonna keep doing what he does. And again, when people ask me about our relationship, does he help you out with Lights Out? Like, no. But the time that I spend with him, like those type of tidbits, know that he can block out that noise that don't matter and just keep doing what he's doing and keep growing, because people are going to talk anyway. That to me right there is helpful enough to see that none of that's affecting him because people are going to talk anyway.
Yeah, I mean, does it ever annoy you that people maybe have a misunderstanding that they think Dana helped you build all this and he's the only reason why you'd be there? But little do they know, you're the stepping stool. You're the one who's putting your hand on it and turning it into gold.
Yeah. I think and I was just saying this the other day. I think that when you're an athlete and people know you well for something else, right? They know me in the football field and they don't know you almost, and it's an uphill battle too when I go and I meet with these other business partners or I meet with sponsors. They don't know how big we're growing, like how fast we're growing, because yes, UFC is the mega monster. That's, they'll always be the big dogs in this sport. No, I don't think anybody's ever going to be bigger than the UFC. Ever. I don't care if somebody come in with $10 billion. I don't think no one's ever going to be bigger than the UFC because of the footprint they've made in the sport. That's just my opinion. But they don't, you can't fathom like someone who used to do what I did on Sundays to now kind of transitioning into building a mega monster also in my own outright. And so you got to get over the hurdle of somebody not believing that you can do something like this of this magnitude because you played football or you're known for one thing. And I think that when I get into to most rooms, if not all of them, after speaking to me for 5 minutes about what I'm building and what I plan on doing, that guard kind of comes down like, oh, okay, he knows his shit and he got, he's on the track to doing what he said he's going to do. But I think from the outside starting in, that stigma, that stereotype is still there that I fight all the time. But I know that I have to be extravagant. Everything I do has to be perfect and it has to be as big as possible in order to get out of that stigma that's been placed on, from what I did on the football field.
Well, yeah, it's always been all eyes on you. But from being not only an NFL guy, I've heard a lot of people who maybe look at NFL guys who are entrepreneurs as just a big meathead who's just a strong guy. No, like I said before, you're super intelligent, you're super smart, but where did the MMA and Lights Out come from? Were you always thinking you were going to run a promotion, or maybe you thought you were going to fight and then it turned into starting a promotion? Yeah. How did Lights Out start?
It was a little bit combination of all of it. And so into my 2005 season, I went to my defense rookie of the year, Pro Bowl, All Pro, and all that stuff. And so I got kind of on the map in the NFL. One of my friends that I used to be really close with is Jay Glazer over at Fox Sports, who's big in MMA. He's been in MMA for a long time. He saw me in boxing. So I grew up boxing anyway. My uncles were professional boxers. Yeah. So I grew up kind of my stand-up. I've always been able to strike. So I was hitting the mitts one day in the gym out here in LA. And Jay was like, man, I think that MMA would help you out in football. Have you ever tried it? I'm like, nah. I said, I'll if it'll help me in football, I'll do it, whatever it is. So he gave me an address. The next day I show up to the gym. Jay's on my left, and then Randy Couture is on my right. Oh, so this is Randy was still competing at the time. So I'm looking at Randy, I'm looking at Jay, I'm looking at Randy. I said, dude, I'm not fighting Randy Couture today. I'm not. Yeah, I was like, you out of your damn mind. I'm not, fighting Randy Couture. You kidding me? And he said, no. We gonna, we'll pummel. We'll start working your hands and hips and different hand combat stuff. And I said, all right. I was like, oof. Yeah. Oh, God, thanks. Yeah, I'm not trying to.
He's all, put on the gloves, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, hell no, right? And what I noticed is when I started to I got so tired pummeling. Yeah. We didn't even get to the workout yet. Just starting off for 20 minutes, we were pummeling, going weaving through and just working. And I was tired. And so we started getting on doing more ground stuff, more hip explosion, getting off the ground, just stuff like that. And I just realized that it was just a different beast. Yeah. Randy, who I was 50 pounds heavier than or close to it, was just tossing me around. And I couldn't figure it out. And I was so frustrated. It was like there was a humble. One thing about this sport, man, it'll humble your ass. Yeah, 100%. I don't care. It'll humble you, and you can be as big as strong as you want to and athletic and all this other stuff. When you get in there with somebody who's experienced, they will humble you, especially jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Oh, jiu-jitsu is crazy. And, so like Randy or somebody will get me on the ground, and like I can't get up. I can't, And so I got my ass kicked the first day, not even physically, but just tired and just like, man, I can't. I got Randy's number leaving out. I text him the next day. I was like, hey, what time are you in the gym the next day? Because I need to get back in there so I can, but again, me having an athlete's mind, I wanted to get back in there. And so the second day, and I was like, hey, how can you, when you do this, how are you doing that in my body? And he was talking me through everything and talking to me just the different processes, getting back up off the ground when somebody take me down. Yeah. And so every day during the off season, I started doing a little bit more. And what happened was I started to do it every off season. With them and Chuck Liddell and trained and worked out with Tito, like all these guys in the mid-2000s that were big. More than likely, I was in the gym with them at some point.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love what you're doing with the production of Lights Out. I mean, it's really, really astonishing to see how the growth has been. I mean, Lights Out Xtreme Fighting hasn't been here for long. It started 2019, and you're only, 4 or 5 years into it. Yeah. Look at the production. Have you been a huge part in the production? Because I know you make all the calls, and that's another thing I really do respect about it, is you don't care about the fucking money. You're not here to make a quazillion dollars. I mean, you've already made such a successful path for yourself. Yeah. You're here to do the work, and you're here to give opportunity to not only fighters, but people like me who want to be in the broadcasting side of the industry. Yeah. And that I always appreciate for you letting me come to the fights and doing the post-fight interviews. And you're giving me an opportunity to make this a career, which is something I could never express my gratitude towards you.
No, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. And then, so we launched in 2019, but we really had 2 years down because of the pandemic. So you're really talking about, it's not even 3 years old, And who knows if we'd have had those 2 years, where we'd be right now. But we had 2 years off that we were kind of shut down. And so literally everything that happens with the company, like as far as talent, all the way down to the production, everything. I'll go and I'm looking at everything on the screen, like the lower thirds, the graphic packages, everything that happens in that truck, is all done in those production meetings leading up to a fight. And now having the streaming service, now it's yours. Like everything that we have is in house. Where we were live on Fubo and Bali, some of these other places, we're still there, just not live. And so when the ball's in your court, it's like now it really has to go accordingly because there's so many moving parts, right? So, we got it's Lights Out Sports is a free ad supported platform.
Yes.
So we got ads running. We have like different tech companies just popping up. This company called Transmit, who we partner with, is popping up split screens with ads, right? So the fight's still going on, but the ad is showing on the right. Yeah. That's a company called Transmit. And that's a deal that, that I did and brought them to the table. So not only am I part of the production, but I'm always looking like for the next innovative thing, saying, okay, how can we run more ads and not disrupt like the viewer, right? You run an ad all the time. It's going to the fight action, coming out. People don't like that, and I understand this. I'm like, okay, now we're going to keep showing the action, but we're going to still run the ad, right? So those things that for everything that happened, top to bottom, even the intro and outros of the shows, everything that I'm involved in. I think that I'll give you a prime example. One of my close friends, Shawne, my trainer too. Mm-hmm. The first fight he came to, and I took him out to the production truck, and he had no idea all this went in it because you just see the fight. You just see the fights. You don't know the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Every sponsor that's in that cage, I brought to, I got the sponsors. To build out in the cage, I'm a part of the cap. Anything that happens that goes on, like I had my hands on to do. But again, it's about the team and having the right people to facilitate everything once you want to start doing things. And that is where, the talent, guys like yourself and everybody else, it's everybody who make this thing go.
Well, what is some things you have planned for the next 2 years with Lights Out? Because I know the last time we talked in an interview, you were mentioning that there's new technology coming for fighters. You want to talk about that? Yeah.
So so what I did was I partnered with this company called Shot Tracker. Mm-hmm. They got the chip in the NBA basketball and NFL, MLB, and PGA. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was, and I have it working with them exclusively on the combat sports side. So a few fights ago, we put the chip just for a test to see how much data we can pull from these tests. And we're really trying to pull data points from speed, velocity, G-force, impact, where guys are getting hit at in the cage, almost like you're just tracking these movements. We got 5 motion cameras at the top, so it's just tracking all this stuff. And so me just thinking outside the box and having the ability to reach out to some of these people in the tech space. So I'll come up with some crazy ass ideas, and I'm like, I want to see if it can it be done.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to my boy Davion, who over there at Shot Tracker, and I said, hey, I really think that this chip, these gloves would be really good in the gloves. Mm-hmm. Can we do it? He said, yeah, we could try it. We did it. It pulled like 9 points of data. Oh, wow. We built the algorithm to show jabs, hooks, uppercuts. So the system is trained now to the algorithm, so it knows what type of jab you're punching. So what I'm trying to do now is, and I would say 2 months we'll be fully ready. We'll have a red corner, blue corner, 2 graphics up on the screen, and it'll have 3 points. It'll show the G-force when guys get hit. It'll show the velocity. It'll show where they get hit at in the mat, like a heat map.
Yeah. Almost. Oh, sweet.
And so this data that I'm working on now to have instantly pop up on the screen, where now you can start getting into, is a guy going to punch over 27 G-force? You know, can 30 G-force knock this guy out? So if a guy get hit dead on the chin at 30 G-force and this guy don't, now that guy's chin is better than his. So, and then you can start getting into the micro betting. I spoke on Bet Bash the other day at Circa, and In Venue is a company I was talking to have, hey, people like, can this guy get over 30 G-force in a punch? People are betting on that. And so, and we're now legal to sports wagers in 6 states. So now, we got 6 states where people can bet on Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Again, this is deals that I've put.
You put this all together.
Put it all together. And I'm telling you, man, it's like my days, where I'm getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm working out first, and then I'm just going. And that's how we're going to be big. we love to give guys an opportunity to go to the UFC.
Yeah.
Right. But if I can build verticals to get us more eyeballs, get us more distribution, and have people more engaged in interaction during our fights, we know that we can grow organically without trying to beat the UFC ever.
Yeah. You're definitely innovating your own thing and making your own path, which is really kind of interesting to see in the amateur scene and like professional scene, because a lot of guys from other amateur promotions, nobody's doing what you're doing, especially not only aside from the technology, but even from the broadcasting and production. I mean, I love the broadcasting team with what you've been able to do, especially Troop. Troop's an awesome guy. I love him.
Troop is, I mean, he's Troop is a character, but he brings, one thing I like about Troop is he's very articulate. He can articulate certain things. He has enthusiasm about what he talks about, and it comes across on the broadcasting. It's another thing where I look when I'm evaluating talent, and I'm looking at the cast. Like when you hear Troop, you can almost what he says, you can hear it and see it happening because of how he's articulating that motion or what's happening in the cage. Those are what makes good broadcasters, to be able to articulate so the stand MMA guy can sit back like, oh, okay, I see what he said, and you can match it up, and that's what makes the really good guys, and that's what I think Troop brings to the table.
Well, it's a big thing that he does, especially with breaking it down. I remember I was showing my mom the Lights Out Xtreme Fighting, and she was like, I don't really understand what's going on, but with Troop's breakdowns and his instructionals and like trips and sweeps and full development of the analytic part, it's insane. His breakdowns are, so he's such a cool guy. But I wanted to bounce over to, what is something you can leak about Lights Out that you have coming up? Just keep people.
Well, we got, I mean, dude, there's so much. One thing, we have a new tech when it comes to sponsorship, AI. We got some cool graphics that can change on the screen. That'll be there in 2 months as well. Not this fight, but I'll have it probably ready for October 19th.
Okay.
We're trying to schedule more dates in San Diego. I'm getting licensed right now for Arizona and Nevada and Texas. So probably the start of 2025, we'll be in 3 other states.
I like that
as well. And to me, man, like, we're not trying to, like, God forbid, like, good luck to all the promotions trying to compete with the UFC. Do your thing. If you feel like you can take them on and take some market share, good luck. Maybe need some competition in the industry, whatever, right? That's not our goal. Our goal is to be innovative and be an incubator, and do some stuff that these other guys can't, or don't want to, or haven't looked into. That's how I plan on growing this thing. But we got some big fights. Shawne Sheriff. Sharif, is Sheriff. Yeah. He got a co-main event with him and LJ.
Very excited for that.
And so I know Shawne for a long time. He fought for us a long time ago. I think when he was an amateur.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he fought one time when he was an amateur. This dude's strong as hell. He's scary as hell.
Yeah.
And both of those guys are 250 apiece, like 500 pound of dog in that cage. It's gonna be, really, really big. And I'm literally gonna announce that here shortly. But to me, what's the coolest part about all this? When we first got going after the pandemic, you got all these other promotions been around a lot longer than we have. Like the LFAs, Cage Warriors, all these guys been around more known
even
than
decades.
We are. Decades. And so when we start getting these calls, or I get DMs, or people reaching out to Antonio now to get on the card, right? It was a point where fighters would go fight for LFA, or they go fight someone for less money because of who they are.
Yeah.
And it was hard for us to get fighters because we wasn't as known. They knew who I was, but they didn't know of the league. And I think that you've been on our shows. Now, our shows are different. The intensity in there and how we are ran, we're like a well-oiled machine, very organized. Everybody's on their shit. And that's something we built to kind of separate ourselves from the other regional promotions, and not taking a shot at anybody else, but we're here to do something different. Not to be better, but be different.
I agree.
And so I think, the next 6 to 12 months, it'll be fun to watch these up. We got a couple guys right now, like Chris Alvarez.
He's insane.
Dude, I mean,
unbelievable.
This dude, I think he's going to end up in the UFC one day.
So too.
We got a couple guys, Ewan. Ethan.
Yeah.
He's another guy that can end up there at some point. So I started to identify like 3, 4, 5 guys who might have a real shot. They'll either go to Dana White's Contender Series or they'll go to the UFC. And so if we can have a successful funnel, where every fight a guy's getting called up, or a guy has that opportunity to go and do something, that's a win for us,
100%.
right? Like we become now the official streamline to the big dogs in the business. And to me, that's saying a lot for somebody who's only been around a couple of years.
No, agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even with the shows, when you go in, it's the only promotion in the world that the first fight of the night, we have a packed out crowd. It's insane. It's unbelievable. I remember we were there and I went in the cage to do a promotion. Like, we're about to start in 15 minutes. And I was just looking around from inside the cage and everybody's there.
Yeah.
And then there's still a line out the door and some more. It's crazy. And even Chris Alvarez, like the crowd he brought last time to the event, unbelievable. Well, I mean, everybody loves that guy.
That's what you hope to create, right? Like could we go to a place that holds 2,500, 3,000? Yeah, we could. But when people show up from the first amateur fight, we got a long night, almost 3.5, 4 hours of fights. And you start to see that thing pack up when the first amateur fight all the way to the end. It's impossible normally to do. And at some point in time, one day we'll maybe go to a bigger venue. But I like that Chris can go and sell almost 200 tickets. Those are his people, right? And if he's fighting, opponent like Shawne to sell a ton of tickets coming. He got a crazy fan base, especially locally. And so I like this organic approach when you grow because the people word of mouth, like, man, we went to the Lights Out fights. Those fights is crazy. They're telling 5 people. Those 5 people tell 15. Those 15 are telling 30. And then you have this word of mouth going where you just know that's when you go to a Lights Out fight, you know what you're getting. And so we're trying to create that instead of somebody coming in. We're just trying to go to a small arena, right? Yeah. Like, that's not what I'm about. No. Maybe we'll get there one day, but I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, no. I definitely believe in your visionary, and that's why I wanted to be on board, especially with furthering my career in broadcasting and hopefully one day commentating for you guys, because I do believe in your vision, and I really do see it. And like yourself, I'm not here for the money. I'm here to make something and make an impact, and I really do believe with what you're doing. I was always interested into the aspect of being a owner and founder. What is that like? Is that stressful? Because I know with people pulling out of fights, changes, locations, maybe licensing, like how stressful is that going through an event?
So our first one back after the pandemic, and I had 2 partners before, and I own it outright. I got a call on a Thursday night from about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning from commission saying they were about to cut the fight. They were going to cancel a fight because we had 6 fights at that point. Now it was down to 5 because somebody missed weight, missed the flight. It was something happened. It was a lot. My team wasn't right. The matchmaking wasn't right. I just didn't have the team around me just yet because we just came out of the pandemic. So I'm trying to build this whole new team again. That was, and I don't get stressed out. I don't get like, I'm not really. I'm just like, let's figure this shit out. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Let's figure it out. That was the one time where I felt like my shoulders going numb.
You're like, I don't know.
I thought I was having a heart. It was the first time I thought I was having a heart attack. And because I'm like, this is my first time out as the only owner, founder of the company, and we're about to get this damn thing called off 3 days before the fight. And I'll never forget that call at 4:30. It was like early in the morning, and it was the last thing you wanted to hear. And I'll say this now for the first time, and what ran through my head, dude, I actually thought about getting licensed to fight myself.
Really?
I swear to God,
you're gonna jump in the cage,
dude. I swear to God, I said before they cancel this fight, I'm getting my ass in that cage. We're gonna have a 6 fight. I told everybody who was around me, and it was like, what do you mean? I said, how long does it take to get licensed? I swear to God, I'm dead serious. I told everybody who was there, I said, we're not canceling the fight. I said, how long? And I told them, the matchmaker at the time, I said, how long does it take me to get licensed? They said, for what? I said, if we gonna cancel this fight, I'm fighting until we have that 6th fight. And they just thought I was out losing my damn mind. I said, we're not canceling this fight. And then luckily we got that 6th fight back. So we were able to have like 2 hour, actually the show went 2 hours and 15 minutes. We needed 2 hours. It went 2 hours and 15 minutes. We made it. Stomach dropped. But that was probably the first and only time that I was like, oh shit, the world is crashing. And I felt it. But we laugh about it now because everybody really figured out how crazy my ass was. I would get in the cage like, we're not canceling this fight. I'm knuckling up against whoever y'all put in there, but we're not canceling this fight. But that was probably one of the only times. That's
so interesting. I mean, I would have never expected that, but I could also see it because of the character you are. You're just action. Let's get it done. I'm the same way, man. Talk is cheap. Action is action. And that's one other thing I really do admire about Lights Out Xtreme Fighting is it's always action. Even the viral clips on social media, dude, the social media for Lights Out is way better than any other competitor. Not saying you're trying to compete against people, but if you look at people who are in the same space, it's a different level.
Yeah, and so that stuff means a lot, right? Because it's the little things that separate and social media, for one, having that amount of engagement. I mean, my personal account, we're reaching 69 million accounts a month, and I think there's another million plus on the Lights Out account. And so that's the tactic to get us seen. Because the hardest thing, especially when you're in the crowd industry, is to get noticed, right? You got Cage War, you got all these other really good promotions that have been around for a long time. What can you do to separate yourself to get the eyeballs of people watching you? And social media has been a big thing for us. And then also, too, I think just to being creative outside the box, not having just a fight poster there. You know, you got to make it interesting so you give people something to want to come back and look for.
Well, yeah, that's why I love your sign them up videos. They crack me up, man. Especially, I was just showing my girl the other day in the car. I was like, look at this. And she's like, what is this? She goes, oh, why are they fighting each other? And it just cuts to you with the bandana. You're just like, sign them up.
Yeah. You know how that started. So, what's time we get? So, when it started getting out that I was in the fight business and I had my own, kind of organization, I started getting a lot of fighters from all over the country, want to come and get on the card. And some of these guys, I'll say, hey, who'd you last fight for? I fought for, Cage Warriors. I fought for, whoever it was. All right, send some videos so I can send it over to the matchmakers and teams so they can look at it. Some of these guys sent something over and they were really good.
Yeah.
How they, man, they can go. I'm going to sign them up, right? Some of them they sent over were really bad. It was a guy that was the guy that sent me over. They got knocked out, right?
Oh.
And so I asked him, I said, hey, did you send me the right thing? Because if you're trying to get signed, the last thing you want to send is you getting knocked out. He said, yeah, no, that's all I got.
One fight, one down? Oh, no.
So, and this happened like 2 or 3 times. And then after a while, I said, hold on, sign him up. Don't sign him up. Sign him up. Don't sign. And it kept, I said, hold on, there's something in this. This is funny. So the first time I did a sign him up video, I said, let me just show a fighter somebody get knocked out. And I'm going to tell them I can sign them up.
Yeah.
I did it, and that thing got like 250,000 views.
Yeah.
I said, oh, shit. People like this. And I did a few more than I did a don't sign them up. Because you had the fighters was getting knocked out, don't sign them up. And that one got like 500,000 views. And it started to go up. Some of these videos get 5 and 8 million.
It's crazy. The most recent one was what, 30-something million views?
Yeah, it was
crazy.
Up there. And so, I found creative ways to kind of promote the company, but also stay and, make it fun and engaging for other people, because that's what social media is. If I just post a fight poster about okay, cool, I know the fighters, but how are you going to draw those eyeballs of people that don't know about you?
Yeah,
because that was my whole thing. So now, dude, I was in Miami about 4 or 5 months ago, and I was going to Prime 112, one of my favorite restaurants in Miami, Steakhouse. I was walking out. It was a car that literally pulled up halfway on the curb. And I'm thinking it's like somebody going to jump out and rob me, right? Because I'm at night. It was at night. I'm by myself. I thought I was about to get robbed. It was like 5 guys in the car. They jumped out and they said, sign them up.
Oh, yeah? Oh, shit.
And, man, when I tell you, I was like, I was on my hands and knees. I couldn't stand up. I was laughing my ass off in the middle of the street. But, that showed me it was having some effect. People liked it.
Yeah.
I'll have like 60-something-year-old women to come up and be like,
really?
Yes, sign them up. And I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
They like it. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that's what it's also nice about social media is like, I don't strive for the money. Obviously, it would be nice to be able to provide for the people closest to me and having an income to do that and live freely. But I live and crave for the influence.
Yeah.
And just inspiring people, especially like with your story. It's so inspiring, and having people come up to you and say, hey, listen, you've been a huge inspiration. Even guys who are in the NFL competing at the highest level. Like the other day, for the first time in my career, I'm only like 3 episodes into this. I was at a Chipotle. And I was getting a bowl, and the guy goes, did you want white rice, brown rice? And I was like, okay, double white rice, brown rice. And then he goes, are you just getting done with the gym or jiu-jitsu? And I was like, I'm not wearing jiu-jitsu merch. How do you know I do jiu-jitsu? And he goes, oh, I saw your podcast with Alberto Crane. And I go, I saw you guys were talking about it. I was like, really? And it was weird because at first I thought I knew him from school or something, because it was in an area that I grew up in. So I was like, okay, maybe we've crossed paths before. It was just a weird feeling, but it's also made me feel like I can really do this. I can.
You're doing something, and you're making an effect. You're anytime, and especially when you got influence and you can influence people to draw them more to what you're doing is powerful, and people don't know how powerful that is. And sometimes it's even more powerful than money, because to get people to watch you out of all the things that's happening out here in this world. I mean, that guy at Chipotle, like there's politics, there's this and war, there's craziness going on, but you got time to watch a podcast. That is very impactful.
Yeah, no, agree. I mean, it's something I just crave inside that I feel like I'm destined for. I'm destined to make a legacy and make a proof, especially with broadcasting and podcasting and showing off a side of people that they don't really get to see. I bet you a lot of people are going to learn things about today, and especially with Lights Out. But I wanted to quickly talk about this upcoming September 6th card. Yeah. We have so much going on. Anything new you're going to bring to the table of this card around? Because I know we have a very big announcement that I don't know if you're ready to announce yet, but we have a very big stacked card coming up.
Yeah, man. I think we got Chris back.
Yes.
Obviously, again, you know, God, we got Slick. You know, Slick is, you know, God, we got 16 fights.
Yeah, that's kind of
lined up. Yeah, we got 16 fights. Obviously, might lose a fight or two depending on, you know, as you get closer to the fight. I think with this one, I always looked for the fights that's going to turn a corner from what we're doing, right? You take that next step, and I was hoping to get some guys in this card, but there are people already asking for our October 19th, right, card is coming up. And again, 2 years ago, it wasn't like this. You know, where we are putting on 16 fights in a night, and we still can't even get everybody on the card that's trying to get on, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it keeps it going. Yeah,
it keeps it going. But you got time now to build your next guy, because look, that's who we. I know right now I'm the face of it because I have a bigger platform than a lot of these guys coming up, man. But I can't wait till some of them become superstars. Like, I can't wait, you know, for Chris to blow up. I can't wait for Ethan. I can't, you know, for Jordan. I can't wait for these guys to become big names, because I actually, believe it or not, man, I get a better feeling promoting them than I do having to be the face of a lot of this stuff, because I actually enjoy the behind the scenes more than I even do talking about it on the front street of things.
Well, you're changing lives. You're giving an opportunity for these guys to make it a career, especially in the hardest industry. I mean, fighting, you're literally fighting for everything you have, and you just put it all out there. And for you to be able to give them a platform and something so special that they can market themselves, because that's another thing you do different is the marketing. You fight in Lights Out Xtreme Fighting, and you're so marketable. You could go to whatever promotion you want to, just because of where you fought. They have good footage, and especially if you're up and coming like Chris, man, like that first round knockout recently, I was backstage and I was doing the locker room interviews, and I saw them coming out of the tunnel getting ready to go walk out, and I saw them have like a little confrontation because I guess something happened at the weigh-ins about the missing weight, a little personal, and the guy in the back's like, "Fuck you," and Chris was like, "Wait till we get in there," and then I was like, oh, "Okay, this is a little tense backstage," and the next thing you know, first round, Chris just throws that high kick and just catches him.
Yeah, and they're finishing them off, and you know, it's crazy. Like that's part of the fight business too. Like, but I actually love being around it because it's very similar to how I used to be in the locker room. There's a lot of shit talking. I mean, you come in there, you gotta have it together, and there's a lot of testosterone. There's a lot of, you know, back and forth, and sometimes too that keeps me young being around these guys, because that never stops, right? And obviously, you know, you hope that it don't get too physical before they actual fight, and you hope they sell it in the cage. Sometimes weigh-ins to have, you know, shit going on. But I think for me, as you said, like that's my goal of this thing. And I tell anybody, I say, we haven't been around that long, but you're going to be more marketable with us. Yeah, I tell anybody, I said, we don't have, you know, we haven't been around longer than a lot of these guys. But one thing I do is know how to market these guys. Even I'm dealing with some of these management companies, man. I see that they're not marketing their guys. Like, dude, listen, this is what I would do with him. You know, and a lot of times too, and I'll tell you what I got into, because, you know, we're kind of expensive side for the sponsorship. Yeah. And so when somebody, especially up and coming company that may not be able to afford to pay us for a sponsorship, I'll start sending them to fighters. Ooh. Hey, you should, you know, that's probably had 3 times this last fight. You know, alcohol company came to me and they said, "Hey, we can't afford the price that we were looking for a sponsorship for a fight." I said, "Hey, this is next up and coming guy. You want to reach out to him?" And he got a sponsorship deal. Yeah. So, you know, again, I didn't take a cut of that. I don't want anything from that. But to see those guys have an opportunity to get paid from us, become a star, and now getting sponsorship because you're on TV, and that to me is the coolest part about any of this shit, man. Like I actually get a real pleasure about being able to do that.
Well, I agree. I mean, I even had the chance to talk to JJ at the last fight. He was awesome. I sat next to him for probably an hour or two. We were just cracking up. And I remember after Chris fought and it was knockout, he goes, "Oh shit, man." He goes, "Come on, get me." He goes, "Let me get in there." And I was like, "Go ahead, Shawne, he'll take you in the cage." He goes, "No, let me get in. I want to sponsor somebody. I want to pay for their living, pay for their fighting. I want to get into it." He goes, "What do I got to do?" And I was like, "You got to find a guy like that."
Yeah.
And if you find a guy like that who's able to perform like that, I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Especially seeing somebody who comes from a different realm like yourself who wants to be innovative and maybe start something new.
Yeah.
And one last question before we go. Is there any chance you would ever get the NFL to play on Lights Out Sports TV?
I'm in the process of something really big right now. Maddie's laughing.
Yeah.
If I want some, I'm gonna try. Even if I say no, I got no problem being told no.
Yeah.
And I got no problem being told no 15 times. That 16th time might be a yes. And what I try to do, even when I go to Dana or anybody, if me and Dana ever work together, do something, I try to bring something that's going to add value to what he's doing. Because I don't really ask people for anything, including NFL. So I am in talks with NFL to. I pitched them something they really like.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to get possibly their fast channel for the NFL to have a channel on Lights Out, but it's something bigger than that I created. The fans gonna love, NFL love, and now I'm just kind of day by day waiting on the stamp. So when that's announced, it'll be groundbreaking in the streaming business. Yeah. And the reason why I like this because I'm not Pluto, I'm not Hulu. You know, these companies got billions of dollars and they're making billions of dollars, but I'm able to maneuver and be creative. And also have a relationship and outreach to be able to facilitate some of this stuff. And I got an in-house team. But as you talk about production, we got a badass production team that can start doing a lot of stuff. Show the programming I want to get more into, and having you involved and having more stuff outside to build the league up. Because that's why UFC is as big as they are. Yeah. They're big because they're embedded
personalities.
Personalities, show the programming, reality shows. It's why who they are. So I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks be able to announce something really, really big with NFL.
Well, I'm super excited. I'll see you in 3 weeks at Lights Out Xtreme Fighting 19, Long Beach, California. Get your tickets now. Thunder Studios. It's going to be an awesome of a night. We have so much planned. I can't wait to hear it get announced on social media so I could just spam post that all day. But man, I really do appreciate your time and everything you do for me. I just want to give you a big thank you for coming on.
Same here, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Likewise, brother. Thank you.
You got it.